Welcome to the revision and exam techniques video. My name is Big Moose Kumalo. So without further ado, let's get started by looking at what we call the outline. So the outline in this case would be that what are the questions that you should be asking yourself, or what are the questions that we want to answer in this video? Is that how do I deal with exam anxiety? How do I start revising? And how can I improve my memory? Which revision techniques can I use? How do I organize my time in the exam? And so now we're going to get started off with the first question. And this is how to deal with your anxiety, right? So the first thing is that obviously you need to reflect on your previous experiences. And why is this? If you think about it, if you ask yourself these questions, what revision or memory techniques have worked for you in the past? What works for you and what doesn't work for you, right? Do you have any experience of using any particular memory techniques? Are there any revision techniques or strategies which you feel have been less successful for you previously? And how are you planning to approach your revision this time, right? This should improve your way of revising and also preparing for your final exam. So you need to make sure you try one of these things, right? To try some of these things on this side. So reduce your worry. Try and reduce your worry. Plan your revision strategies as soon as possible. Look after yourself. Good nutrition and and drinking water is very good. And rest and exercise and relaxation. Learn to remember with those different techniques and revise, sleep, and review. Basically, don't try and overstress yourself by doing cross-nighting and then the next day you're going to write. It's very important that you do get rest. So now we look at basically how do I revise, right? So begin as early as possible. Familiarize yourself with what is required and plan. Know the time when you will revise, location where you will revise, work, what do you have to revise and what works best for you, right? So to be a very good, successful reviser, you need to prepare, organize, and memorize and recall. Those are the key things that you need to be able to do for all the subjects. And stage 2 is basically that plan your revision strategy. Have a clear plan about how you're going to go about it. And also, stage 3 is make a realistic timetable and stick to it. This is very important. Making a realistic timetable. When do you work best? Are you an early morning person or do you work in the night better? Plan your day. Include targets, meals, and also time to relax and sleep. Take regular breaks and maximize your time. Use short blocks of time, right? And then also select key issues to revise. Those problems that you find most difficult. And then also make master cards, question and answer cards, mind maps, graph tables, and charts. This is very helpful, especially mind maps, especially if you have a very broad chapter that you need to understand that has many conditions to it. It's very important that you should be able to do that. And then also stage 6 is that you should use past papers, key themes, short questions and long questions. Practice timing and technique and your technique and build up writing speed, right? This is important, especially if you know that you write quite slowly in an exam, right? And so now we're going to look at basically how to improve your memory, right? So you can learn and recall, and the idea here is that you just need to remember more, right? So you need to organize your material in a meaningful way that it connects sections and use those techniques that suit you personally. People remember best in different ways, mind you. So longer and more effective recall is through repetition. You need to repeat some of the definitions as many times as possible so that you can remember them. And also in mathematics as well, repetition is very important. Not repeating the same problem, but repeating a number of problems from the same section. If you have a problem that is very difficult, you can repeat it as many times as possible so that you understand what is happening. Adopt active strategies and practice using the material and use memory aids. And then repetition is quite important. Here are what I want you to take away about repetition. Reviewing the material regularly makes the memory pathways to the information stronger, meaning that it's easier for you to remember those definitions if you've repeated them as many times as possible. Okay, and then also the next part here is basically what would be your techniques. So again, we are different people, so everyone has a different form of memory techniques, right, or revising techniques. Some people are visual memory, some people work with visual like diagrams, charts using different colors. Some people are motor memory, where you need to write information, reading out information and so on. And auditory memory, where it's you listening to a recording where maybe you are reciting or repeating basically a certain definition to yourself, talking amongst your peers in a study group as well. You should be thinking about that as well. And then, so what are these techniques that are most common? So some of the techniques that you could use is definitely by you looking at questions and answer cards, having a questions and answer cards, revision groups, use past paper exams, use your visual memory, use recordings, create narratives. And creating narratives is quite important, especially if it's a lot of information that needs to be understood. Stick reminder cards around your desk and home. Create information maps, flow charts, spider diagrams. Recite out loud. Make jingles. Move around. Interact with others. Try to revise tests with your friends and use other techniques, right? And all of these are quite important. Personally, I used to use quite a lot of reciting out loud, especially with definitions and long answer questions. Okay, so here now, when you are answering the questions, right? When you are doing the exam, right? So answering the questions, you need to read the questions carefully, answer each part of the question, use your plan, right? Writing in an answer box as directed, right? And note how many marks often relate to the question. So, for instance, if they say give 3 reasons and there's 3 marks, it means literally you just need to give 3 reasons, right? If they say name 4 and describe and it's 8 marks, it means that you're gonna name those 4 things and then you're gonna describe each of those 4 things. So for each thing that you're gonna say, then there is going to be a description to that thing. And do not write a page when there are only like 3 marks available, right? Don't try and overdo it because time is limited within an exam. And also, then finally, basically, what I want to say finally is that uh, do not leave too early. Please take your time in the exam. Don't leave too early. If you finish early, read your work through and you may have more to add, right? And always leave time to check your work. Check your spelling, punctuation, and grammar, especially in more written based subjects like geography, English, and so on, Zulu, and so on, right? And move on when you get stuck, right? So don't try to waste too much time on one question. If you find that, okay, there's a certain question that you find extremely difficult or you don't understand at that particular point in time, don't try and waste too much time trying to figure it out at that moment, because it just means that your mind needs some time to think about it while you do other questions and while you get more confidence so that you'll be able to do it. And then lastly, I just wanted to say we believe in you. Good luck on your final exams, and we do wish you all the best.